Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of May 24th through the 30th. And during that time, we first have a first quarter moon that comes right in on the 24th. And that is a time when you might feel impulsive, impatient. Your mind might be a little bit active. It's hard to buckle down and get anything done. So, there's two ways to deal with that. You can either make sure you're just taking a day off, taking it easy that day in case you're feeling impulsive, or you can try to learn how to control and dominate those impulses. So two different ways of looking of how to manage that energy when it comes around. We then have the rest of the week is the waxing gibbous energy. So that's a time for a deeper understanding and outlook. You're settled back down, and it's a good time for getting things done that we've started during the new cycle, but also showing that we can be flexible and make adjustments where, for different things that aren't quite going the way we want them to. So make those adjustments and just keep working this week. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Sagittarius. So as always, please take what resonates today and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this particular reading is that the energy is gaining momentum. All right, let's see what the Sagittarius Collective has going on for this week. As I'm shuffling the tarot, my fun weekly reminder this week is that you keep a spiritual journal. So sometimes we don't recognize the patterns that are evolving in our lives when it comes to our spiritual experiences. And, just keeping a journal, and this could be, maybe spiritual things that you're learning, synchronicities that you're having, maybe dreams that you're having. And it's just good to have something to go back and check. If you're like me, I may have a dream and it seems very significant, and I think about it, but or talk about it, but unless I write it down, I will probably forget it. So, I do try to write those down. Anyway, keeping a spiritual journal, and it's good to go back because you're like, oh, that thing happened. It might be like a premonition situation that went down. I've had that happen several times. So anyway, that is just my fun weekly reminder for you, is that you keep a spiritual journal and write all those things down. So, all right, I will stop babbling. Let's get into this reading. Sagittarius, May 24th through the 30th, the energy is gaining momentum. Your present energy right now is the Two of Cups. So could be some energy when it comes to a partnership or a friendship, or, coming together. Is this positive energy or negative? I'm not sure yet, but it looks like you're at least, meeting kind of on the same level ground with an open heart towards each other. Let's see what the situation is here. Current situation is King of Swords. So, it could be that you are, just entering into a very nice logical conversation and relationship with someone where you're, exchanging things, and it's just very logic based. There's not a lot of feeling. This could be some sort of work relationship. This could be some sort of mentor that's coming to you and really just, but, there to give advice. Someone who's really, knowledgeable in, communication and knowledgeable in whatever area that you're in, intellectually, I mean. So just someone that's really smart that you may be going to learn from. So let's see what happens here. At the root of your situation is the things are happening very quickly here with the Eight of Wands. And this could be that, the information that you're sharing with this person is coming in very, very quickly. And that's really nice. So just make sure if it's someone, we all have people that we learn from, and you run into people and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to ask you all the questions and just know everything about everything, and that information is incoming. You're trying to process it and ask all the questions and make sure you understand. So just do that. Just go ahead and take that in. That's a fun energy to be in. All right. In your recent past here is the Moon card. So you may have asked for this person. This is something, sometimes, instead of asking for things, sometimes we do ask for, a person to come into our life. I need someone that's going to be a mentor, someone that knows more than me. I want to learn, I'm open to learning. And so, you just ask the universe to bring that person in, and you manifest that person, and they come in and start teaching you things. So, is that something, I would think about that if you, and you might have manifested it by accident. It might not have even been on purpose. Sometimes we just kind of trail off and have these little thoughts. It's like, oh, I would love to learn about this certain thing, or, something either professionally or just something that you're involved with, and that person just appears. And that is kind of the manifestation process, that we may not even think, oh, I'm going to specifically meditate and manifest this person, but it's just kind of a thought that comes up to you, kind of over and over maybe, and all of a sudden there's that person. So that's pretty interesting there. What's on your mind this week, Sagittarius, is the Queen of Cups. So yeah, you're going to be very emotionally balanced and in control. Again, I see this as being more of a logical exchange, almost like, again, if this is in business, that this person is just, they're just laying all this knowledge on you about things that they have, that are just the logical steps to take in your particular business, whatever you're in. And they're sharing that information with you. So, again, you're taking it in, trying to just make sure you're sorting out that information. If you're having conversations several times, maybe if it's not just a one-off that you're meeting this person, but even if it is, maybe just take notes immediately. You leave this meeting with this person, you get in your car, turn on your phone and record, oh, they said this about this. And before I forget this, I want to, so that you're kind of remembering all of the things that they said. If you're not having an opportunity to like take notes and learn that way. What is just ahead of you this week is the Page of Pentacles. So, I think this is you maybe taking all this information and starting to apply it, or at least thinking about, excuse me, let me grab a drink. I feel like I'm talking very fast today, so my apologies if I am. I have had a bit of tea today, so maybe I'm a little. Whoa. But this page here is about taking this information. You've manifested this person there in front of you. They're telling you all of these things, and the page is about a new path in the material realm, or perhaps the financial realm. And so you might be like, oh, I can take this information and go make some more money. I can add to my pentacles. I can add to my material life in some way, based on this information that you're learning. So if it is some kind of energy gaining momentum, it totally makes sense that you're just coming from a place where you're asking for the person comes in, you're in a good place to receive the information, and now you're going to take that information and kind of roll with it, right? And run with it. In your advice position here is the Page of Wands. So these are all these new ideas coming in. That's what our pages are about. Our pages are the juveniles of the deck. And that doesn't mean that you are a juvenile, but it means this information coming to you is new to you, and you would treat it like a juvenile would. You're going to cultivate some sort of passion, cultivate, this information where it's going to bring you pentacles, or make money for you. So and the advice is to do that, to totally cultivate these wands that are coming in. Whatever information came into you is to take it and definitely do something with it. Don't let this be something that you've manifested and it came to fruition that you don't do anything with. You've got to take the action. Manifesting and turning one thing into another, you have to get in there and do the work. It's not like you just sit around and wait for those things to come to you, right? What is beyond your control this week is the King of Wands, and that is about gaining knowledge, and gaining knowledge about the thing that you're most passionate about. And look, it's almost like, these two kings here exchanging this information. That this king is just very logically telling, and this one's listening intently. So perfect position for that, where that card is. And it's beyond your control, that like it's and I almost get the feeling like you're very good at the thing that you do, and you're very knowledgeable at the thing that you do, but this person is like just a level up, right? So it's not like you're not knowledgeable, but the information coming in is very, very helpful to you. And it's kind of new information for you to process and to put to work. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Hard work here. I bet that's your secret desire. And again, because you need to get to work. And it's almost like, and look at the prosperity factor here, with especially with 8 and an 8 showing up, which I love. 8 is about that. It's about, the infinity of the material world, and how money flows, and just adding to that. But I hope this is your secret desire. It doesn't appear through this reading that you're trying to avoid work. It's almost like you learn this information and you're like, I can't even wait to start to put it into action. It's just that time when you're on fire. You've got these wands at work with you, and those represent fire and passion. It's something that you're very, very excited to do. So I would imagine for most of you, it is, your secret desire is to immediately get to work on this, which is exciting. I mean, I can feel the excitement of it. In your outcome position here is the 9 of Swords. So don't overwork yourself, I really think, is what's happening here. Don't let it, you know what? The information that you get will help you. And if you're trying to do too much, you're working really hard and that's your thing, you want to start applying everything, take a breath. Did this person get where they are in one night? No. Take a breath, take some time to put all of these things that you're learning. Look how much you've learned. That's a lot of information. Grab another drink here. Again, that's a lot of information that comes in. And remember what I said to take notes on that stuff. And I talk about this all the time when the new moon rolls around or like New Year's. A lot of people will set a resolution and say, oh, here's my list of the 20 things I want to change about my life today on New Year's. No, that's too much. Take that list, break it down into a couple of things every cycle, and then slowly chip away at it. So don't let yourself get too anxious about having to do these things that you're learning, put and apply all of them right now. Take the strongest things that you can and apply them now, or even wait till the new moon cycle. We're just past a new moon cycle. Let this information sink in for you a little bit and think about how you want to apply it, and wait till the new moon comes around and start to apply that. I know you're anxious to get to work, but make sure you're doing it in a good way. And it doesn't have to be all the information that you've just learned. Maybe take one or two things and start to apply them, and get into where that is a cycle for you for the next cycle that we have. And then take two more of those things on the next cycle and add those things until all of a sudden you'll turn around after some months and be like, okay, I'm doing everything that they advised me to do. And hopefully those things will start to, you'll start to see the results of it. What's hidden from you this week, Sagittarius, is the grief card here with the Five of Cups. That's a great place for that card to be, because you're just not feeling that. You're excited. You've got this person that you're learning from. I can feel the excitement. I can feel the energy. Do not let yourself get so stressed. Don't try to bite off more than you can chew all at once. Again, just chip away at this information a little bit at a time and you'll be just fine. The energy is gaining momentum. Don't let it just dump on you so that you're so stressed about it that you're like, oh, I'm never gonna. Just take a breath and let the information come in, and then put it to work when you need to. And again, new moons are really good for starting new things and new habits. So let's get you a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. A final message here for Sagittarius. And the card you get is to address your addictions. And are you maybe addicted to this kind of information coming in and working too hard? That could be. You may need to just learn how to relax a little bit. What are your addictions? And are those things standing in the way of your success? That might be something that you do need to think about. Let's see what you need to do in the way of self-care. Self-care for Sagittarius this week, as they seem to be learning a lot. Okay, and the card that you get is the card called Focus. I love how this focus says my absolute yes list. If you focus on what you don't want, there's a good chance you might get it. Focus on what you do want instead, and don't stress yourself out about it, right? Relax. This is what list making is about, goal setting. You don't have to, get an idea in your head and have things come to fruition tomorrow. It may take some time. So be very patient with yourself, learn the things that you need to learn, and put them into action in due course so that you can be a success at it. So Sagittarius, thank you so much for being here. I do hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in a positive way in your life this week. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below and let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer those also. And if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe, I appreciate that so, so much. So thank you for doing that. And it'll help you find me next week, where you can come back and we can see where your story goes. So thanks so much, Sagittarius. Good luck with this, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.